What's up, travel friends? In this video I'm sharing 5 ways that you can make friends while you are traveling alone, especially if you're a first-time solo traveler. This is something that I talked a little bit about in my last travel vlog to Prague, so if you haven't yet, go check it out. I wanted to go a little bit more in depth on this topic because 1, I think meeting people when you're traveling is one of the coolest things, and 2, because I think it's something that can prevent people from deciding to take their first solo trip, just knowing that they're going to be alone and not knowing if they're going to be okay or not. I'm here to tell you, as somebody who recently did her first solo trip, that you're gonna be just fine. Here are 5 ways to meet people and make friends when you're traveling abroad solo. Number 1, if you've never traveled alone and this is your first big trip, consider going with some sort of group. There's plenty of different groups out there that do guided tours. For example, there's EF College Break, Contiki, Busabout, Topdeck, Expat Explore. The first time I did a big trip by myself without my family, I actually went with EF College Break on their 25-day grand tour of Europe. And there were about 42 people, so you're bound to make some friends. It's something that you pay a premium for because they figure everything out and everything is included in the package, but it makes things significantly easier. And on my most recent trip, I went with Busabout, which is a hop-on, hop-off network around Europe. That one was a great in-between because it allowed me a bit more flexibility and independence to choose my own adventure and go at my own pace. And it was naturally pretty easy to meet people who I was traveling with on my coach for 8 hours at a time. Although I realize that's not always an option, so that's why these next 4 tips are more applicable. Tip number 2, stay at a hostel. It's so much easier to make friends when you're surrounded by people who, for the most part, also want to meet others. This is especially true if you're a young adult because hostels are pretty much filled with young adults. There are definitely people who are older, but for the most part, you're gonna find people in their 20s to mid-30s. And when it comes to making friends, proximity and density of people makes it a lot easier to meet people. Tip number 3, introduce yourself to your roommates. These are probably the easiest people to get to know because you'll be sharing a bedroom. So you might as well introduce yourself, see if they want to maybe go grab food. You won't always get along with your roommates won't always want to get along with you, but it's definitely worth a try, and if anything, you try to be friendly. Tip number 4, hang out in common areas. Most hostels have bars, lounges, kitchens of some sort. Hang out there when you're planning your day or when you're just posting on Instagram or scrolling through social media and have some downtime. That way you can, if you see someone who might be interesting or if you overhear a conversation, you can kind of just poke your head in and go, hey, I noticed XYZ, that's really cool. You don't have to be a social butterfly to do this. I realize it's a little bit easier for me to go up to people and just introduce myself because it's just kind of who I am. But when you're traveling, you can kind of rest assured knowing that it's pretty normal to introduce yourselves to strangers. There's kind of that common traveler's understanding that we're all here to be part of a community and to meet each other. So rest assured, don't get too nervous walking up to somebody. If they kind of give you a cold shoulder or act weird, forget about them. You probably didn't want to be friends with them anyway. But for the most part, people tend to react really well. When I was in Prague recently, I went on a walking tour and there was this group of 3 girls who were kind of hanging out and doing their own thing, and they were obviously all together. But one of them actually came up to me and she dropped the compliment. She was like, oh my goodness, your outfit looks so put together. I feel like I'm scrubbing so hard. Boom. Instant friendship. We hung out the rest of the trip. Again, it won't happen to everyone you talk to. I definitely had a couple instances where I went up to somebody and started talking and they were kind of, not reciprocating as much. So I just moved on. It's like dating, right? You try this person, you try this person. Oh, you guys click, that's great. So far we went over 4 tips. Consider going with a group if you have the budget and interest to do so. Stay at a hostel, introduce yourself to your roommates and see if they want to go grab dinner, and hang out in common areas. And finally, we have tip number 5, do the touristy group activities. Oftentimes hostels will put these on, they'll have some sort of calendar of events, or they'll have a weekly schedule of things that they do. They might be doing walking tours, it might be like a game night or cooking together, or they put on some sort of dinner or snacks, or there might be some sort of bar crawl. If your hostel or wherever you're staying doesn't do that, look around and see if you can find walking tours or group guided activities. Sure, you can do a walking tour and listen to Rick Steves, but the likelihood that you'll meet other travelers is a little bit more slim compared to if you go with a group and then you've got a bunch of people who don't know very many other people. I had 3 full days in Munich, and the way that things timed out, I actually made a different set of friends each one of those days. And most of those came from going on these guided group activities. So even if you're not staying in a hostel, even if you're not traveling with a group, check out the local activities that are happening for travelers, because then you can meet other travelers. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments down below, how do you make friends when you travel abroad solo? If you liked the video, be sure to subscribe for more videos like this. New videos twice a week. One of them is usually a travel vlog and the other one is more of like a tips and tricks how-to. So if you like this one, be sure to subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later.